Hey everybody, this is Derek for The Grumpy Guy Show, talking about episode number 127. Knock it off, people. Recorded on Tuesday, February 13th, 2024. Tonight's topics: chemicals are good for adults, not so Super Bowl, and Trump said what? Stick around, folks, we've got a really grumpy show this week. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to The Grumpy Guy Show. I'm Derek McAllister.
I'm Ryan McAllister.
So we've got a really packed show tonight. We've got a bunch of topics, of course. A couple of them, two separates, or four of them make up two pairs. How's that? But anyhow, so let's just jump right into it.
All right.
So first up, we've got something talking about, let me rephrase this. There's apparently a TikTok trend where young girls, very young girls, as in preteens, are using anti-aging products. Which, I'm not huge on anybody using them, but the way that it was phrased when the anchor read it, she literally said, "Kids are using anti-aging products that they don't need that contain chemicals that can be harmful to young children." She paused. I didn't even pause as long as she did, and all I could think was, these chemicals are harmful to everybody. It's not just young children. Maybe more for maybe more harmful for young children than it is for adults, but it's not good for you. Aging is natural. Stop trying to prevent aging, because you're not preventing it. You're just covering it up.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, these people are going to realize that, I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It wasn't even just the local news that paused like that. They paused like that on the national news as well. I was like, really? Are you implying that chemicals are good for anybody?
Yep, that's exactly what they're implying.
Anyway. So that was a quick topic.
All right,
so next one, this may end up being I don't think this one will be quite as long, but who knows, So, yesterday, which would be Monday, the day after the Super Bowl, there was talk on, I think it was on the morning show that your mother was watching.
Right.
What the heck is that? Today on NBC,
Today.
But at any rate, they said there's growing movement to make the day after the Super Bowl a national holiday.
Why?
I'm like, a national holiday? And what's this holiday based on?
Exactly. What is this holiday?
Holidays are supposed to be based on something, not just the fact that tons of people get drunk and stay up late. Because if that's the case, then you got to make every single day a holiday, because there's plenty of people that get drunk on any given day and stay up late. I mean, come on. People have to be adults. And if they're really young and they end up getting drunk and staying up really late and not getting to work on time, that's their problem. That's not the nation's problem. Because what's going to happen? You're going to make this a stupid holiday, and then all of a sudden all the stores are going to have, we're going to have ads for this, and sales. And of course you got to put sale in quotes, because they'll just raise the price beforehand just to drop it down. Because, my opinion is, and always has been, if you can sell it for that sale price, that means that you're making a profit, which means you could sell it for that price all the time. But hey.
Exactly.
What the hell do I know? Right?
Exactly.
So, they're going to make this a stupid holiday, and then it's going to cause companies who have who have contracts with unions to decide whether or not they're actually going to follow that holiday. And of course, the union could push it. And it could be a situation where union members have it as a holiday, which generally means anybody who works on that day gets paid extra. And of course, they're going to say, well, you know what, your management, you don't get a holiday. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's no reason for this to even be considered.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get it. If you know that you're going to stay up and watch the game, and you know you're going to drink heavily, then take the day off.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense at all why it's even considered. But, I don't know. Maybe that's just because I really don't care about the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've made it pretty clear that I have stopped watching sports in general because they're all a bunch of crybabies. And, just to make it clear, folks, I did watch this year's Super Bowl because Ryan had a friend over, and they watched it in the living room where I was sitting. So I watched it with them. And it just reinforced why I can't stand sports. It's a bunch of whiners, They get a first down. Oh, look at me. I got to show it up. Oh, there you go. I'll drop the football right in front of your face. Oh, look at this. It's a first down. And come on. And then top that off with the fact that the pregame and halftime analysts are ancient. They were old 10 years ago when I was watching. They're still the same people. I mean, come on. They won't move on because, hey, they really know what they're talking about. They may know what they're talking about, but that doesn't mean that you should continue to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you get the idiots up in the booth. Jim Nance is so focused on mentioning Travis Kelce that, and there's Travis Kelce catching the ball.
Yeah.
But wait, this is what really makes it stupid. He said that after the player had gotten up, stood up, you could not only see his number was not that of Travis Kelce, but you could also see that his name did not say Kelce on the back of the damn jersey. So I'm like, what the hell game are you watching? I don't understand it. And then Romo, who he's never given me the impression of a brilliant person to begin with, but he he did the same thing that every single analyst does, no matter what sport you're talking about. But in football, it's always, he's one of the greatest to ever play that position. Until 5 minutes later, when somebody in the same position does something, he's one of the greatest to ever play. If everybody is one of the greatest to ever play, then everybody before them sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at some point, there's got to be somebody who's not the greatest who's ever played. Just because they made a play doesn't make them the greatest that ever played the position. And, something else you got to look at is you've got to compare people based on the era. Because the game now is totally different than it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, it wasn't focused on pass the ball, high scores. No.
Yeah.
And you talk about players from, the 60s and 70s. They played, and before that, they played both sides. There wasn't somebody who was just an offensive lineman. No. They played offense and defense. You came off the field because you could no longer function. It usually meant that you had a broken bone that prevented you from working, from doing anything.
Yep.
But now, they get done and they go over and they sit down on the bench and, they got the oxygen mask right in front of them. Oh, yeah, they're a great athlete. No, they're not. If they can, if they can't, the worst part is most of them that are doing this, they're doing it for 1 or 2 downs. They run maybe a total of 20 yards. Then they sit down, suck on the oxygen, and then everybody, he's one of the greatest to ever play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should really, truly look at some of the greatest that ever played the game. They weren't sitting on the bench sucking oxygen every 10 minutes. But at any rate, so it's really the game Sunday really just reinforced the fact, reinforced for me that I did the right thing by stopping watching.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody's, it was a really fair game, really well called. Well, there were several holds by Kansas City offense that I saw, and it's really easy to tell that it's a hold, people, when the only contact between the offensive lineman and the defensive lineman is the offensive lineman's arm, which is wrapped around the defensive lineman. That's a hold. Unless they change the rules, that's a hold.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the winning play, I saw it posted. On the winning play, 2 Kansas City offensive linemen were 4 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. That's a penalty called illegal man downfield. Therefore, Kansas City should not have won on that play. Perhaps on the next play, yes, but not on that one. It should have been a penalty. But, it wasn't called because, well, we got to make sure that, we got to make sure that we get Travis Kelce on the screen again so that we can get Taylor Swift on there so that, we can get all popular and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm honestly completely and totally glad that this stupid season is over because maybe we can actually hear about something other than Taylor Swift.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about this too. This will be a little side topic because of what Swift did. So everybody knows there's all kinds of talk about, problems with global warming.
Of course.
And we're always looking for ways that we can prevent global warming and, slow it down or reverse it, whatever. Here's an idea. Let's not let some dumbass rich person fly from Tokyo back to Las Vegas just to watch a stupid-ass football game.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? That was a complete and total waste. Because now she's got to fly back to wherever the hell she's got to go for her next one. Her next concert. And my guess is if it was planned properly, her next concert someplace over there in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
So now she's flown back to the United States. Now she's got to go back over to Asia. That's a huge freaking waste.
Yeah, it is.
But hey, it's Taylor Swift, so nobody's going to say anything. It's ridiculous. So,
pretty much, yeah.
I'll move on from that. Because, like I said, we got a packed show.
Oh, yeah.
And this is one of the topics that's linked together with the next topic, which is something that you brought up tonight.
Huh?
I told you to add it, but you didn't. So I did. So, you had mentioned that this was the largest audience ever to watch a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But what stat did you point out afterwards?
The percentage of people that watched.
Yes, the percentage of people in the United States that watched. What is the highest percentage and what was last night?
The highest percentage... Let's see. It claimed that there were more people watching than... No, it was the most people watching a broadcast since the moon landing.
Yep.
which was 64% of Americans
Watched the moon landing.
Yes, that watched the moon landing, and not last night, Sunday was 37%.
So you see, this is just another example of how the news is going to blow a little thing out of proportion. They're not going to give you the whole story. They're going to say, oh, it's the largest audience ever. Sure. But the population is a lot larger than it was back in 1960. What the hell was it? 69?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the population's a lot larger now than it was.
Exactly.
So who cares that it's a bigger a bigger number? Look at the percentage. Obviously, if you've only got 37% versus 64%, percentage is lower.
Yeah.
It's like I get annoyed when they talk about, oh, this movie broke a box office record. They're not talking about the number of sales. They're not talking about the number of tickets sold. They're talking about dollars, which is really, really easy to do when you look at the cost of a ticket from when I was a kid, which was about $5, to what it is now, which is like $20, for a cheap movie. I didn't even know what they are because I don't go, but it's a hell of a lot more. So it's a hell of a lot easier to break those dollar value records. It's just, they always find something. And I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, with Gomez and Dave when they had Jim Boeheim on. This is the #1 morning show in Syracuse, led by 2 people, on from 6 to 10 in the morning. Such a specific thing that, yes, it is #1. I don't know. I mean, I guess they got to hold on to something.
Yep.
But, yeah, well. All right, so that leaves us 2 topics left, folks. And they are linked together. So we will start with the one that happened first. So on the campaign trail, Donald Trump decided he was going to point out that Nikki Haley's husband isn't by her side. Of course, he's failing to mention
his wife?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's failing to mention that his wife is not by his side, but my guess is that was kind of a hint of, the man runs the house type of bullshit.
And her husband's actually working, unlike his wife.
And that's it. Her husband is working. And where is her husband working? Oh!
Military.
That's right. He's stationed in Africa for a year-long tour of duty. Wow. So everybody in the military, maybe you should think twice about whether or not you really, truly want to vote Donald Trump in there, because he doesn't give a shit about you. Obviously, he thinks that you're in the military, you're not working.
He doesn't think that the military is a real job.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If you were to actually look at things for the military, they're some of the most underpaid people in the world. Why? Well, because they are on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they don't get paid a huge sum of money. So, you figure it out. And I think, I don't even know what you get as your base salary when you first join, but I think it's somewhere around like $30,000 or $40,000 a year, which sounds great, for a first job and all, until you look at the fact that you're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, period. You can have leave scheduled, but if something comes up and you're needed, your leave is canceled, and you can't say anything about it. So, if you're somebody in the military, maybe you should think about what he said there before you vote for him. Because he really, truly, he truly stated, doesn't matter. He's not working. He's not doing anything. You know?
Yep.
But hey, the hell do I know? So,
But hey, what do we know?
yeah. You know, but like I said, I mean, there's no mention of the fact that his wife's not by his side.
Yep.
And Nikki Haley did not even point that out, though she could have.
She could have easily.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have had an issue with her pointing that out, because what's his wife doing?
What does she do?
Yeah. You know, I mean, I don't know. I find it ridiculous.
Yep.
You know, and yeah, this kind of leads us to the next thing with regards to what Trump feels and how he is and what he thinks of our military and what he thinks of our allies. So at another campaign stop, he stated that Putin should feel free to attack NATO allies, and Trump will not defend them unless they pay their fair share in NATO.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he should feel free to attack them. Go ahead.
I mean, I knew that he was sucking Putin's dick, but I didn't know he was that much of a dick rider.
Yeah, you know, but it's not even that. He apparently doesn't. So this is the great negotiator, which he labels himself. Yeah, that's not a term anybody has given him other than him.
Nope.
So the great negotiator seems to forget what a contract is.
Mm-hmm.
So a contract states, you know, in this case, that all parties of NATO will join in war if another party of NATO is attacked.
Yep.
Plain and simple. If Putin attacks any NATO country, which is exactly why he's been very, very careful when it comes to Poland.
Mm-hmm.
If Putin attacks any NATO country, we are at war.
Yep.
And you know, just to make sure that everybody is clear that in this case, Congress will override him and put us in war. If they have the power, I think they do.
They do. Congress is who declares war.
Yeah. So, you know, it won't matter what Trump says or does. He can go ahead and say that we're not going to do it. Doesn't matter. It'll happen.
Yep. We will.
So, you know, anybody, again, in the military who is considering voting for Trump, take that into account. I'm not trying to tell you to vote for him or against him. I'm just saying take it into account.
Mm-hmm.
It's a careful thing to think about because, you know, it doesn't matter how advanced we are. War is war and people die.
Yep.
People on both sides die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Putin...
That's the thing about war.
Putin has been pushing and pushing and pushing. And I've said before, I'm pretty sure that this whole thing with Ukraine is him trying to start World War III.
Mm-hmm.
And the unfortunate thing is, he doesn't really have any allies left. I mean, he does, but he doesn't. Because they're all small former members of the Soviet Union. None of which can do much without Putin because
and China is just trying to play both sides. They seem to be trying to stay neutral because that's what's best for them.
It's best for them because, you know, where does all their money come from? Comes from the United States and Europe.
That's also where all of their money's going.
Yeah. You know, so China's they're not happy with the United States, but at the same time, they know that they have to be partners with us.
What other options do they have?
Yeah. They're not going to sell nearly as, you know, they're not going to be, without the United States buying Chinese goods, China's in big trouble financially.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And vice versa. If we stop buying from China, then we're fucked.
Well, yeah. And that's some of why there's been some changes. Like this whole thing with Micron coming to the Syracuse area. It's huge because chips aren't made in the United States right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's some made here, but most of it's made in China.
Mm-hmm.
So this plant is huge.
Yeah.
It's going to make a big difference to China's economy, because now, this plant's supposed to be big enough that it's going to produce, I can't remember, I think it's going to produce like 70% of all products that Micron does or something like that. I don't know.
Wow.
So it's really truly going to, it's making a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other smaller plants being built by other companies around the country. And it's all because, there was a huge realization during the pandemic that we rely completely and totally on China for producing just about everything.
Yep.
And we can't do that.
No, we can't.
But I don't know. It's going to be interesting there, I guess. I guess that's how you'd say it.
Mm.
It's... I don't know. I see Trump winning. Unless...
Unfortunately, so do I.
Yeah. And something that Haley said, when she was talking about her husband, she said, if you have something to say to me, Donald Trump, say it to me directly on the debate stage.
He won't.
He won't, because his campaign realizes that he's an idiot, and that when he gets on the campaign stage, he's going to flail, and he's going to start losing support.
Yep. He can't debate worth a crap.
No. He's not a debater. He's a negotiator.
Mm-hmm.
A negotiator who apparently doesn't understand what contracts mean.
Mm-hmm. Clearly.
Seriously. It's a treaty. A treaty is a contract, folks.
Yep.
I don't know. You probably didn't hear the latest thing.
What?
So after saying last week that he won't even bring the bipartisan border deal up for a vote in the House,
Uh-huh.
the Speaker of the House was questioned on an aid package for Ukraine.
Right.
And he said, not until there's tougher border security measures put in place. I'm like, wait, what?
So basically nothing's getting done.
Yeah, nothing's getting done because Trump's an ass.
Yep.
Trump's an ass, and everybody in the Republican Party is bowing down to him, except for a few.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, the way that things are going, those few are getting death threats.
Yep.
And it's not just the few that are standing up to him that are getting death threats. It's also their families that are getting death threats.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous, people. If you don't agree with somebody on something, there's no reason to threaten to kill them.
Yeah, you don't have to agree with everybody.
You're never going to agree with everybody on everything. That's the way life is.
Exactly.
You just gotta... Seriously. Knock it off, people.
Pretty much.
Yeah, well. All right,
That
folks.
pretty much sums it up right there. Knock it off, people.
Yeah. Well, folks, I'm sure you heard that music starting up. We've had a packed show.
Good night.
We'll see ya.